Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now. The baseball world just got rocked, folks. We're talking seismic shockwaves rippling through Philadelphia right now. ESPN's top insider, Jeff Passan, just dropped an absolute bomb that has Phillies fans either celebrating in the streets or completely losing their minds. Alec Bohm, the 6'5" third baseman who's been a fixture in Philadelphia's lineup, might be packing his bags. That's right, the Phillies are reportedly shopping their starting third baseman, and according to the biggest name in baseball reporting, there's a 50-50 chance this thing actually happens. Buckle up, because this story has more twists than a pretzel from the reading terminal market. Let's set the stage here. Jeff Passan isn't some random blogger throwing hot takes against the wall to see what sticks. This is the guy. When Passan talks, general managers listen. When he writes something, you better believe there's real smoke behind that fire. And this morning, Passan unleashed a massive article detailing 25 potential trade candidates across Major League Baseball. And guess whose name got his own dedicated section? That's right, Alec Bohm of your Philadelphia Phillies. This isn't buried in a footnote somewhere. This is front and center, main event material. Here's what Passan actually wrote, and trust me, you're going to want to hear every word of this. The buzz around the league is that whether Bohm gets dealt depends entirely on what other moves the Phillies make this offseason. And here's where it gets really interesting. If Philadelphia misses out on re-signing Kyle Schwarber and pivots to bringing in Alex Bregman instead, then Bohm is as good as gone. Done deal. Start looking at apartments in Milwaukee or Seattle. But even if they spend their money elsewhere, the Phillies could still move him and either pick up a stopgap third baseman or go with their top prospect Aidan Miller. And Passan drops this absolute hammer at the end, saying that in a winter of change in Philadelphia, Bohm is among the likeliest Phillies not to return. Let that sink in for a second. Among the likeliest not to return. Now let's talk about what teams are actually interested, because this is where the plot thickens. Passan and his ESPN colleague Kiley McDaniel identified several potential landing spots for Bohm, and some of these make a lot of sense while others might surprise you. First up, the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers are always looking to compete in that NL Central, and they need offensive firepower. They're a perfect fit for a bounce-back candidate like Bohm. Then you've got the Seattle Mariners, who have been desperate for offensive help for what feels like a decade now. They've got phenomenal pitching, but they couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat last season. Bohm could be exactly what they need. The Pittsburgh Pirates are also mentioned, which is fascinating because they're a division rival. Could you imagine the Phillies trading Bohm within the division? That would be absolutely wild. But it's happened before in baseball. The Pirates are trying to build something, trying to get back to relevance, and adding a proven major leaguer like Bohm could accelerate that timeline. And finally, the Los Angeles Angels, who are in that perpetual state of trying to compete while also kind of rebuilding. They've wasted so much of Mike Trout's career, and now they're trying to figure out what to do moving forward. Bohm could fit into that puzzle. But wait, there's more. We've also heard rumors about the Kansas City Royals being interested. The Royals just made the playoffs last year, and they're looking to build on that momentum. They need to add pieces to compete in the American League, and Bohm could be a nice addition to their lineup. And trust me, there are probably other teams lurking in the shadows that we haven't even heard about yet. This is how the hot stove works. Teams are making phone calls right now, having conversations, kicking the tires on what it would take to pry Bohm away from Philadelphia. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. What's actually wrong with Alec Bohm? Why would the Phillies even consider trading him? Well, here's the deal. Bohm has 1 year of control left at roughly $10 million pending arbitration. That's actually pretty reasonable in today's inflated baseball economy. But his numbers took a step back in 2025. His walk rate dropped, his strikeout rate went up, his power numbers decreased, his defensive metrics, which had actually been improving, took a step backward. These are not the trends you want to see from a player heading into his final year before free agency. Let's get into the nitty-gritty numbers here, because they tell a story. Bohm is a 6'5" third baseman who only hit 11 home runs last season. 11. For a guy that size, that's just not enough pop. He drove in just 59 runs with a .331 on-base percentage. He walked only 29 times all season. He collected 133 hits and stole just 2 bases, which honestly doesn't matter much for a guy his size. His slugging percentage was .409 with an OPS plus of 102, which is just barely above average. For a third baseman on a team with World Series aspirations, that's simply not good enough. But here's the thing, and this is where we need to be fair to Bohm. A lot of the criticism he receives isn't entirely his fault. The Phillies have basically been forced to bat him cleanup for the past couple of years because they don't have a legitimate right-handed power bat in that lineup. Think about it. Who else would hit cleanup? Nick Castellanos had an absolutely abysmal season last year. He can't be your cleanup hitter. JT Realmuto showed flashes, and yes, there were times when he moved into the cleanup spot. And ideally, if you had 2021 JT Realmuto, he'd be your cleanup hitter. But it's 2025 going into 2026 now. While the Phillies should absolutely try to bring Realmuto back, he ideally shouldn't be hitting cleanup either. The cold, hard truth is that Alec Bohm is not a cleanup hitter. He doesn't hit enough home runs. He doesn't drive in enough runs. He's not built for that role, but he's a fine hitter overall. He's not a great baseball player, but he's not a bad one either. He's solid. The problem is he's being asked to be something he's not. The Phillies desperately need a true power hitter in that lineup. They need an Alex Bregman. They need a Pete Alonso. They need a Kyle Tucker. They need somebody who can legitimately hit 30 home runs a year and drive in over 100 runs. That's what you need from your cleanup spot. You could put Schwarber there, but with the way the lineup is currently constructed, it doesn't really make sense. Bohm sliding up to the 3-hole creates other problems. The bottom line is they need another bat, and Bohm can't be the guy hitting in that premium position. Now let's talk about what the Phillies might do if they actually trade Bohm. This is where things get really interesting because they have several options, and each one comes with its own set of risks and rewards. First, there's Aidan Miller, their top prospect. Miller is considered one of the best third base prospects in all of baseball. The kid can hit, he's got power, and he's got a bright future. But here's the question, is he ready for opening day? Most evaluations suggest that while the Phillies are ready to see Miller in the pros in 2026, they might not believe he's 100% ready to go on March 27th when the season opens. They might want to give him another month, 2, maybe even 3 down in AAA before they bring him up to get his feet wet and adjust to that level of competition. If they don't think Miller is ready, they have other options. Edmundo Sosa and Otto Kemp could form a tandem at third base for a couple of months while they wait for Miller to be ready. That's not ideal, but it's workable. Or they could go after Alex Bregman in free agency. Bregman is one of the best third basemen in baseball, a 2-time All-Star, a World Series champion, and exactly the kind of right-handed power bat the Phillies desperately need. The question with Bregman is how many years does he want? If the Phillies weren't able to bring Schwarber back, it would probably be more likely that they'd go after Bregman. But according to reports, everything is probably still on the table with Bregman as well. The reality is that if there's a place to upgrade on this roster, third base might be it. Yes, Bohm has made improvements defensively over the years. He's no longer the liability he was when he first came up, but a 6'5" third baseman who only hit 11 home runs and drove in 59 runs with a .331 on-base percentage just isn't ideal production for that position. The Phillies are trying to win a World Series. They're not rebuilding, they're not in development mode. They need production now, and if they can upgrade at third base, they absolutely should explore it. Now, let's look at what the scouting report says about Bohm as a trade piece. If he can get back to his 2023 and 2024 levels of power, hitting 50-plus extra base hits in a season like he did both of those years, 50-plus extra base hits in a season like he did both of those years, then Bohm could be a really nice bounce-back candidate for another team. Some team is going to look at him and think they can unlock something that the Phillies couldn't. They'll think they can optimize his swing, bat him in a different spot in the lineup, take pressure off him, and get more production. That's the bet a team like Milwaukee, Seattle, Pittsburgh or the Angels would be making. But that's not all that came out of this massive ESPN article. Passan and McDaniel also listed the Phillies as potential suitors for Ketel Marte of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, Marte is considered the best second baseman in all of baseball. He's got 5 years and $91 million left on his contract, plus a 6th-year option at $11.5 million. That's only $18 million a year for the best second baseman in the game. That's actually a bargain in today's market. But here's the thing. Teams believe they'll have a better sense after the winter meetings of how serious the Diamondbacks actually are about moving him. Arizona is going to ask for an absolute whale of a return for an $18 million a year player who's the best at his position. The asking price is going to be astronomical. There's also Willie Abreu of the Boston Red Sox, and this is a name Phillies fans should definitely keep on their radar. The Red Sox have a big jumble of outfielders right now with Roman Anthony, Jarren Duran, and others. They're probably looking to trade one of either Duran or Abreu. Abreu had a really good year last season. He's only 27 years old, which is typically where you start to see players hit their peak. He's really good in right field, finishing second in runs saved behind Fernando Tatis Jr. He's more good than great, but he can hit 20 to 25 home runs. He did exactly that last year. He's a better option than Nick Castellanos at this point in their respective careers. He's a better option than a lot of the current outfielders on the Phillies roster. Abreu is absolutely a name to watch. Then there's Stephen Kwan of the Cleveland Guardians. The article lists him at only a 25% chance of being traded, so it's not super likely, but the Phillies are listed as a potential fit. And of course, we can't forget Luis Robert Jr. of the Chicago White Sox, the outfielder who's been linked to the Phillies approximately 17 times a year for the past 3 years. Now finally seems like the time for Robert to move. The White Sox held on to him after his excellent 2023 season, hoping to cash in on maximum value, but Robert completely cratered last year and took his trade value with him. The White Sox picked up Robert's $20 million option for this year, and they have another $20 million club option for 2027. He still has elite tools. His sprint speed, defensive range, and bat speed are all in the 90th percentile or better. But he's been maddeningly inconsistent. His 4.9 WAR campaign in 2023 is what Chicago or any team that acquires him is banking on seeing, rather than his 1.9 WAR over the last 2 seasons combined. Every single time we talk about outfielders the Phillies could potentially acquire, Luis Robert Jr.'s name comes up. He's got the talent. The question is whether he can put it all together consistently. But let's get back to the main event here, the Alec Bohm situation, because this is what really has Phillies fans divided right now. That 50-50 chance that Passan mentions, this is kind of the first time we've really seen Bohm's name seriously talked about in trade rumors with this level of specificity. Sure, there have been thoughts here and there, whispers, speculation, but this feels different. This feels real. Teams are clearly interested, and it seems like the Phillies would absolutely trade Bohm if the right offer came along. The question then becomes, what would they do at third base? That's a huge question without an easy answer. Would they rush Aidan Miller to the majors? Would they sign a free agent? Would they make another trade? Would they go with a stopgap solution? These are all legitimate questions that Dave Dombrowski and the Phillies front office are grappling with right now. But here's the thing, if you can upgrade at a position, you have to at least explore it. The Phillies are in win-now mode. They've got a relatively short window with this core group of players. Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Trea Turner, these guys aren't getting any younger. The time to win is now. Think about it from the Phillies' perspective for a second. They could potentially move Bohm and find a better third baseman through free agency or trade. Bohm has the tools to be a good player. He really does. He's shown flashes of brilliance, but he's just not a cleanup hitter, and right now he's being forced into that role on the Phillies. It's not working for anyone. It's not fair to him, and it's not producing the results the team needs. Could the Phillies take him into this season, hope to find a cleanup hitter from somewhere else, slide Bohm back in the lineup to a more appropriate spot, continue to build his trade value, and then if Miller was ready around the trade deadline, try to flip Bohm for something better at that point? Absolutely. That's definitely an option. There are multiple paths forward here. But if the right trade comes along this offseason, if some team falls in love with Bohm and offers something the Phillies can't refuse, you have to take it. You just have to, as long as you have a concrete plan for what you're going to do at third base. The winter meetings are coming up, and that's when things are really going to heat up. That's when general managers from all 30 teams get together in one place, when deals start getting done, when the hot stove really starts cooking. The Phillies are clearly in a mode of making changes. They know they fell short last season. They know they need to get better. Trading Alec Bohm might be painful for some fans who've watched him develop over the years, but if it makes the team better, if it gives them a better chance to win a World Series, then it's the right move. This situation could work out for both sides. The Phillies could move on from Bohm, find a better third baseman who fits their needs better, and Bohm could go to a team where he's not being asked to be something he's not. He could thrive in a different environment, with different expectations, batting in a different part of the lineup. Sometimes a change of scenery is exactly what a player needs to reach his full potential. So where do we go from here? Well, we wait, we watch, we see what happens at the winter meetings. We see if the Phillies can re-sign Kyle Schwarber. We see if they make a run at Alex Bregman or Pete Alonso. We see what other moves they make. And we see if some team makes an offer for Alec Bohm that the Phillies simply can't refuse. This is why we love baseball in the winter. This is why the offseason is so fascinating. Anything can happen, and it usually does. The bottom line is this. The Phillies are serious about winning a championship, and they're willing to make tough decisions to get there. Trading Alec Bohm would definitely qualify as a tough decision, but it might be the right one. Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, Philadelphia baseball is never boring, and this offseason is shaping up to be one of the most interesting in recent memory. All right, Phillies fans, that's the situation. That's what we know right now. Alec Bohm might be traded. It's 50-50 according to the best baseball insider in the business. Multiple teams are interested. The Phillies have options for replacing him. And this whole thing could go down any day now. What do you think? Should the Phillies trade Bohm? Would you be sad to see him go, or excited about the possibility of an upgrade? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that like button if you want to see more Phillies content. And make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on, because this story is just getting started and you're not going to want to miss a single update as this unfolds. This is the hot stove season, baby, and things are about to get absolutely crazy in Philadelphia. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.